Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video. Oh my goodness, it continues. Harvest has been relentless this year because of this weather that just carries on being sunny with no rain in sight. We've actually had, I think, 1 mil of rain since the last video, so nothing, just nuisance rain. It didn't matter at all. All the oilseed rape is now done. And it came in really well, I'm pleased to report. I think we just started cutting when on the last video. We finished it and then moved it almost immediately. The lorries are underneath it within a week, and we moved something like 68 tons off 47 acres, which is really good going. It's about 1.45 tons to the acre or something like that. I haven't had any results back from that, but I'm very chuffed with that. And now we're in the wheat, as you can see here. This, since getting back to the farm, we've got about 176 acres of wheat. And I say we've cut about 100 acres already, and there's just over 70 to go. Today is Sunday, it's 10 to 1. We are going in a moment. There's a few jobs we need to do out here. Before we do those, I'm just going to take it to the grain shed, have a look at the pile of wheat we've got already. I think we've got about 300 tons in here now, and it's been a pretty easy harvest so far. The wheat, I put that in there, yeah, 13.7, 13.9 moisture. Now we're looking for under 15%. You can get away with under 16%, but for storage you want it under 15% moisture, and here we are at 13%, no drying. We don't do any drying on this farm. We rely on having an oversized combine and to be able to combine and it dry. It's worked so far. Now this is Skyfall, this variety of wheat, and some years we get milling with it. I don't grow it as a milling wheat, but it's a bonus if it does get it. Depends on the season. And looking at it, when I first started combining, it's a really dark sort of look, this wheat, and I thought this is very high quality and had high protein. But the test results say different, and it is low protein this year. And it seems to be quite a lot of the milling wheat that was grown this year is low protein, as the millers are going to have to either adjust or something because there isn't any. Interesting, you get to boost the protein of your wheat, you put extra nitrogen on late in the growing season, and with the price of fertiliser, most people said, well, I'm not going to do that. And hence we've all got low protein wheat, perhaps. It's also the season as well. So this is just a straightforward, I'm going to say feed wheat. But the results showed something else. And that is, it has a very high bushel weight or speck weight. And what's that? Well, it means this is, the rating on this is about 82, 83 kilos per hectolitre. And that means the grain trailer outside, normally I fill that up with 2 tanks from the combine, it weighs 12 to 14 tons. This year, each trailer load weighs 15 or 16 tons. So this heap, if it was in a low spec weight year, would be 200 tons, but because it's in a very high spec weight year, 82, 83 is exceptional. I've never seen it as high. This is 300 tons, which is really good news. So the compensation for not getting milling quality is the very high spec weight, and therefore an excellent yield and less buckets to load the lorry. You'll see some fans up there as well. I've got to cool this down. And you think, why aren't they running? Well, temperature at the moment is about 24, 25 degrees. I want to get it around 15 degrees, the wheat in here. I'd like it down as low as 10. So they have little sensors on them, temperature sensors, and they only turn on when the temperature up there goes below 18%. So overnight they'll be blowing, they actually suck air through the grain, and they'll be going overnight and then turning off sometime in the morning. Anyway, that's enough in here. What I want to do now, get that combine rolling, because we've got about 70 acres to cut, and we'll probably try and do about 50 acres today. Yeah, one of the other sides of this very heavy wheat is I thought we had a puncher. Well, we sort of did. We hadn't really checked the tyre pressures before we started combining, because they just looked round and up. And then Charlie got into the wheat, and I was doing the trailer, and the arm came out, and this was nearly flat, this tyre. And the flip side of all that very heavy wheat is you've got a full tank of grain, and then that auger swings out to fill the trailer, and that tyre was only at about £25 per square inch when it should be £30 per square inch. So we very quickly blew all the tyres up, and I've never had to do that in a harvest, but it's just because the wheat is so heavy this year. The other thing we're noticing, the diesel tank in this holds about 1,000 litres, amazing capacity, and we have 95 acres to do the road off farm away from here, and it did all 95 acres, which was split 50-50 between barley and oilseed rape, on one tank of fuel. Since we got into the wheat, it's the fuel consumption basically has gone up, and we've used about 1,500 litres over about 100 acres of wheat we've cut so far. And all the diesel I've got left is in this Bowser, because I ordered some diesel last week and it arrives on Monday, and today's Sunday, and I think, oh dear, if my calculations gone out, are we actually going to run out of fuel today? But anyway, I'm going to fill it up, and then Charlie's going to blow it off before we start, and we'll do some greasing and stuff. But I'm just hoping I've got enough diesel in here to last the day. Well, that's it, running out of diesel. You hear the revs going up and down the pump. I don't know how much we've got in the tank though. Yeah, just over 3/4 full. Really, yeah, we need a full tank to finish combine. Oh well, it's going to be close. We'll see how we get on later today.
Mad gallop down the field to see his lights are going. I think, yeah, you can get this lot in the header as well as last stripe across the field. God, it's a dusty year though this year. Unreal. But yeah, we're chopping all the straw this year. The fertiliser prices where they are, it's just not worth selling the straw. The price, when you remove straw from a field, you're actually taking away a bit of potash and a bit of phosphates, base fertilisers as they're termed, and the value of those to replace is much higher than you actually receive for selling the straw. So there's no point selling the straw this year if you can cultivate and can handle the amount of straw we've got. There's a fair bit of straw here, but I think we can incorporate this going into wheat, so it'll second wheat, which we won't be putting it around till October. So we've got plenty of time just to incorporate it, and it's remarkable how different it will look, the field, come time and time after one pass with the cultivator, the carrier, and then yeah, a little bit of micro activity on the straw. And oh no, it seems though even though his flashing lights are going, he's not going to empty, which is odd. I don't know why he thinks he gets to the end of the row, I reckon. And now see it starting to appear, so the cab alarm will be going soon, which is a technical term when the grain goes over the top of the grain tank and lands on top of the cab, and it sounds like it's a hailstorm starting, but actually it's just grain on the cab, and it's known as the cab alarm. The final one you get when your tanks are really full, empty. Yeah, I think the cab alarm must have gone off. He's slowed right up, and I don't think he can get to the end of it. There's the cab alarm gone off. Yeah, he did get to the end of the road just with no cab alarm, and just emptying it out. Yeah, the grain. I've just moved into Flag Slat, which is the biggest field on the farm. It's not huge, it's 45 acres, I think. And the downside of this field, well, let's start with the upside. The upside is it's looked very good. Obviously, it's the best we've ever had this field look. The downside is when you're on grain cart, he's typically going to need unloading right at the very far end of this field, and that's the furthest point back to the grain store, so it makes my job as grain cart the hardest of all, because I've got to race backwards and forwards in the grain shed and still push up and faff around in the grain shed as well. I'm intrigued what that yield meter is saying on this combine. So you get an instant readout of what the yield is, and it does a pretty map for you. it's funny, the next field we've just come out of, we had rabbit damage around the buildings, and it's acutely obvious on the map where the rabbit damage was. Never quite sure what to do with the information you get from these yield maps, but I don't know, it's just intrigue when you're on the combine. It's fascinating to see the different yields and the sort of how it maps out across the field. So it keeps you entertained. So it's worth quite a lot in itself. Right, the law of sod has kicked in, and the lights have come on saying that the combine is full right at the furthest point from the farm, right down at the bottom hollow here. So dusty this year as well. Never seen dust like it. No idea why, whether it's just because it's super dry. I've just blown the combine off, I can reach down here. Well, look, fantastic attachments. There we are, there's my hose and stuff. But on the back of the tractor, this tractor has air brake couplings for the trailer. Well, you can also use the air pump for the air brakes as a sort of compressor, so I can blow tyres up and do all sorts of things, and blow the combine off, the air filter and the radiators and things like that. Super useful. It's charging on. I think we'll see it better from the combine actually, but I can see it's droughted out down here. It's just slightly variable crop, but it's still easily the best we've ever grown out here. Can't wait to see what the yield map says. I'm going to jump in the cab, Charlie in the combine, and have a look what's going on next. Just recapping, how do you do it? You're going along like this, you're looking at that screen's critical down there, isn't it? And that's engine load and losses. Well, that, yeah, you've worked, that's engine load about 80% of the moment. You have worked it harder than that.
Yeah, but otherwise it doesn't feed very nicely in the thick stuff, so this thick stuff down here, and you'll see it all start bunching there. So.
Right, yeah, this is droughted slightly, you can't quite see it, there's some lines here, whether it'll show up in the camera, but this actually droughted out this end, but there's, it just isn't quite as brown, it's not as even, right, it's not as even, here's a droughty bit here, it's just thin.
Look, there you go. If I start going too fast.
Oh right, there it is, punching up there.
So I have to slow it down.
And then we've got load, yeah, 80, I saw 92, flash up to 92. That's what I like the bits on this. Look at the yield. So, yeah, up there, it's saying 11.7 tonnes per hectare. But we've christened this combine Boris. It doesn't always tell the truth, unfortunately, much as I'd like to. Oh, it's 12! Oh, I have to go out all of that! 12.2. Yeah. I wish it was 12.2. When we actually load lorries, it turns out it's not quite true. But it's a pretty good year, this, isn't it? I mean, this is as good as this field's ever looked.
Yeah. I was talking to John saying it would be nice to have some organic matter.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put it in here.
Retaining moisture and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to look at sewage sludge and things. We have to book it up about a year in advance.
Just something, really. Because I don't think this is going to become sort of a freak year in terms of weather.
Right.
I was speaking to John, he was saying that 1976, he was saying that the last rain they had on the 23rd of March here, and then it then started to rain again on the 15th of September.
Good heavens.
That was the period of time that they had without rain.
God. So it's nothing like this year, is it?
Spring barley was that tall.
Right.
Wheat was that tall, and then the spring barley was too short to cut.
Wow. So we should be, well, it's what happens after this, isn't it? Because we now got 2 weeks of solid sunshine ahead with oilseed rain that was actually in the ground and up at this time last year.
Yeah.
this year. We haven't even thought that, well, I haven't even got the seed yet at the moment, so there's no point.
So I'm going to go down here
Yeah.
and I am going to cut through.
You want to combine down
I
there?
want to combine that really awkward corner. I want to combine that little bit there.
Right.
Get that all done.
Get that all done. Pull
And
that
then-
in there.
And then come back there. So then I will have that to do and broken up. So I've got that field on its own and then that one on its own.
Yeah, and then the
And then
long
go do
work.
those. Yeah, because I want to go do those before it starts getting dark.
Right.
Which is another 2.5 hours away. So the work rate's high, but it's not super high. 2.8 hectares an hour. And then that one telling you how many tons an hour we're doing.
Right. 28, 29 tonnes an hour.
So probably
With
like 24.
With a little Boris factor in there.
Were
I
you
bet.
pushing up last time?
I was just pushing up there, that's why I was a bit late.
Have you got your drone now?
I'm about to get the drone out. Do some shots of those sun shadows. And then I'll crash it. And then he'll combine it. Yeah.
You've got
And
all
then
the
I'll-
kit this
I
year.
have. I'm completely over-kitted. This is my new GoPro, yeah. So it's super steady. Drone. Yeah, how about that? I'm going to get me to do some work again. Look, it's full up again. There's the tank. Right then. I better go
Well-
do something.
Yeah, I'm going to do that awkward bit there.
Right. Alright. I'll shove it in the trailer.
And then spend this week field racing around these fields.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to get the bikes out?
You can't drill them.
No.
So I think it's time to
So
go
it's a
see
racetrack.
the scrap, see what they've got in the scrap yards, see if there are any Volvos kicking around.
I know the GR Yaris is vaguely rallying car.
No, it needs Volvos. We
It needs the
old
Volvos back. Brace of Volvos again.
Yeah.
It's how you learn
An
to
orange-
drive.
Yeah, the wine claret coloured one.
Yeah.
And sort of almost squadron blue one, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it's got swatch of blue. Solid cars.
Yeah.
Bit dull. Oh god, that
But they
now-
were rear-wheel drive, weren't they?
They were rear-wheel drive, transaxle as well, gearbox in the
Really?
back, yeah.
Manuals.
Yeah,
they were, weren't they?
manual.
Both manual.
Yeah. I used to put a whole load of tractor plates and stuff in the back, in the boot, to try and make them a bit more tail happy.
And they had all the smashed out windows, didn't they?
That was when I invited the Evo boys up, it all got a bit out of hand. Andy Wallace was driving with Dickie Beeden racing and it got a bit messy.
Did it?
Yeah. I think they've been watching too many Top Gears.
Jesus.
Well, you're going to empty this?
Yeah, well,
You're going
my
to do
lights-
me out of the job? Oh, that's very kind.
And then I'll just do that awkward bit there.
Oh, okay. That's very good of you.
So I have a feeling I might go back up the wrong way.
Always looks too far away when you press the button. Charlie seems determined to finish this field tonight, which, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a stretch. What are we now? 9:15. He thinks there's 2 hours to go. So, yeah, just after 11. Bit cracking day if we do. I think 50 acres plus 50 and 60 tonnes a week. Well, that turned into a late one last night. We finished about 11:30, but we did finish the field. That's the main thing. And here's the pile of wheat here, which has grown somewhat since our last day. I think we put about 160, 170 tonnes into here yesterday, which is good going for us. I'm not going to say anything about yields until we actually move some lorries and actually find out. And I've got a lorry in about 30 minutes. just tipped the last loads. No need to push up because I say the lorry will come and it'll be gone in about an hour, that wheat, up to an animal feed plant up in Wrexham, I think it's going. But God, scary things last night because this weather is fantastic, but it comes with its own risk, and that is fire. And somehow Charlie thought he smelt some smoke last night at about 11 o'clock and got out of the cab, end of the run, and went up in the engine, and yes, there was embers just on the exhaust manifold on the combine. Oh my goodness. Don't know how they got there. That combine has never really suffered from straw getting in the engine, but it did this time. We had a fire extinguisher, Charlie had it, and I just didn't want to waste the fire extinguisher unless we really had to, and it was just glowing, not doing any damage. So we had some water and we put it out with water with the fire extinguisher there just in case, but it didn't get out of hand. So a grateful escape, and then just now notice right next door to where we're about to combine, smoke. And there's been another fire, field fire this time, grassland actually gone up this time, and within 200 metres of where we've got to finish combining in a moment. So yes, it's been a really easy season, combine season, but it comes with its own risks, and these really high temperatures and this tinder dry ground of fire is an ever-present risk this year. So I'll be very glad to get it in. So there you go. Next video, we'll move on to what we're going to do next. What are we actually going to grow with all this weather? What should we be growing for 23 harvest? Because we're going to be putting it in the ground in a minute. Obviously, rape should be going in. We're not doing it at the moment. So I'll go into how things are changing, what this weather affects us farming in the future for the next harvest. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.